Hello and welcome to Post to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. Washington snuck by Toronto in this series. It was close, and unfortunately, you predicted a sweep in this series.
Yes,
and
I did.
Pretty much predicted a sweep. I thought it was going to be Washington 5, at the most 6. And it turns out that Toronto basically with ease won 2 games, and they could have very, very easily won.
Well,
I would say at least 3. Like it was so possible that they could have won 3.
Yep.
And I will dare to say that they could have won the series.
They very well could have.
It's amazing, really.
Yep.
I'm shocked.
This, to me, hands down, was the most exciting series to watch in the first round. Now, I'm a diehard Pens fan. I mean, I was there for every Penguins game against Columbus, but I couldn't miss a game in this series. And I was more entertained with the games in this series as an impartial person, not really caring, who won or lost. Wow, that was exciting hockey.
Yeah.
And I'm still in shock with how those young kids, Toronto's young core, adapted to the playoff atmosphere. They really rose to the occasion. I did not think they would, because none of them have any playoff experience. They can't even grow a beard, let alone say, hey, we got playoff experience. But they rose to the occasion. I am insanely impressed. I was 100% wrong. I wrote them off completely and said Washington would just walk right over them, because to me, next to Pittsburgh, Washington's the deepest team in the NHL. And I'm still in shock with it, but I'm very happy because I think at the end of the day, Toronto can really hold their heads up high. They really competed with Washington. They proved they could compete with the team that most people were pegging as the Stanley Cup champion going into the playoffs. And they should be insanely proud of what they accomplished after missing the playoffs for so many years over the last decade.
They have nothing to be ashamed about.
Nope.
And to go from last in the league last year
Yeah.
to competing against the top seeded team in the league this year and almost beating them, what an incredible achievement by the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It paid off. They got Austin Matthews out of it, and he was a beast in this series. The kid's clutch. I mean, you could say there was a lot of luck in that last game with that goal, how it kind of hit the glass partition, or maybe it was the camera hole. I kind of forget if it hit the partition or camera hole, and the puck came right out in front of Holtby, and Matthews just scored.
That was
a beauty.
strange bounce. Yeah.
Unbelievable luck there. But again, the kid is clutch. And just because the puck comes out in that area, you as a player have to be aware and have yourself in a position where you can pick up that loose puck
and finish.
And his awareness is, next to none given his age. It's almost as if he's played in the NHL for 10 years. He's that mature as a player. I see nothing but positives out of everything Montreal, almost said Montreal, everything Toronto did. I see nothing but positives. I also question their blue line going into the series, but wow, they were very impressive.
Jake Gardiner was awesome, I thought.
Yeah, he was insanely impressive. And of course, we can't forget in goal as well, Anderson. He had
an amazing series.
Amazing. Even in that last game, unfortunately, Toronto lost in overtime, but Anderson carried them to overtime.
Yep.
Wow. I am so impressed with him.
If I'm a Toronto fan, I'm so happy right now. Of course they lost, so there's going to be some upset people, but I am so happy right now because the future looks so bright.
Very.
And I'm not a Toronto fan. We did our rankings of favorite teams. I think I had them 21st. I don't know where you had them.
Yeah, they were
Can't
down.
Remember.
They were down right in the middle.
After this year, I've had a lot of fun watching them play.
I'd probably put them in my top 10 now, just because of this playoff series.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy watching these young kids so much.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but they've definitely moved up a few spots, probably right in the middle, around 15 or so. But yeah, it's so exciting to see young players do what they did. Nylander, Marner, Matthews. It's incredible.
Yep.
And the fact that they did this against a seasoned Washington team speaks volumes.
Yeah, and it's like I said in a different video too. This is how you do a rebuild. Toronto's finally doing the rebuild properly, and look, it's paying off. They almost took out the Washington Capitals in the first round. Wow.
And in 3 or 4 years, Toronto's going to be a scary team.
Oh yeah, definitely, hands down. And I mean, when you have young talent like that lures other players. They suddenly want to come in because they think, hey, this team has a chance of really doing something here. It's kind of like Marian Hossa, how he kind of shopped around for 3 years. I think they're going to win a cup, so I'm going to go over there. Yeah. And so I think that'll kind of bring some eyes into Toronto and kind of lure some other talent as well.
Do you think Stamkos regrets signing in Tampa Bay now?
I would. I mean, that guy hasn't had any luck in Tampa Bay. I mean, yeah, he won the Rocket and so on, but I mean, he's had nothing but injuries in Tampa. I'm not saying that fully relates to, because he plays for that organization. It's just, if I were him, after everything that's gone on in his career over the last several years, I would want a fresh start.
What about someone like Tavares? Could you see him going to Toronto?
Tavares would be an amazing addition to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, that's kind of a big question right now because the Islanders are just always on the outside looking in right now,
Yeah.
And they say maybe Tavares could be trade target.
Yeah.
That would be sad to see because to me, Tavares would be probably in the top 10 players in the NHL without question. So if Toronto were able to bring a guy like that in, that's something that could really push them even that one step further.
And this is a bit of a rare thing. I mean, we're talking about a team and praising them for losing a series. It's a strange situation to be in. But let's switch over to Washington. What did you think about their play in this series?
I kind of question a few things. Holtby, to start with Holtby, I found he didn't look as solid this year as he did in previous years in the playoffs. He looked a little shaky at times. A few questionable goals went in on him. Shattenkirk's another guy that I'll definitely mention. I didn't like a lot of the play from him, and I really questioned the Capitals bringing him in because their blue line was run by Matt Niskanen and Brooks Orpik. Orpik, a former Cup winner, so he's a very experienced guy. Same with Niskanen. And you bring in a guy like Shattenkirk who's used to running the blue line, being the leader on the back end. And now all of a sudden, to me, I find you could see like a conflict of personalities there because they're used to being the leader on the blue line. And now all of a sudden, when you have three of them, it can kind of create a little bit of chaos. And at times, Shattenkirk just seemed to be kind of like the miscued guy of, oh, wait, I should have been here, but in reality, I'm over here. And he was a huge target for the Maple Leafs. They hammered the hell out of the guy. Yeah. And rightfully so, because when you got a big name like Shattenkirk on the blue line, that's going to be one of your main targets. And if you can get to him, potentially it can lead to success and a goal. And it did in several occasions because, man, they hammered the hell out of that guy.
Absolutely.
But it could be one of those things that bringing him in could really hurt them moving forward. I did really like what I saw from Ovechkin. I'm giving him a compliment.
Yay.
Mark your calendars. I found he looked a lot better when it came to the two-way play.
Yeah.
However, I am still going to call him out that it wasn't consistent. He wasn't always consistently back-checking, helping in his own zone, that type thing. And I found that Kadri really got under his skin, threw him off his game, especially after that. Someone can call it a hip check or a low check and whatnot. But that kind of made him go off his rocker a little bit, and he suddenly became more interested in trying to hurt somebody, running around, throwing the body, that type of thing. He's a physical player, but that's not his strongest asset. His strongest asset is scoring goals, so that's where he needs to concentrate. But the fact that Toronto was able to take it to Washington this severe makes me question if they really do have what it takes to go all the way.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do moving forward. But like you said, Ovechkin was a factor in this series. He scored some very timely and very important goals.
From his office.
Yep. And I did predict that Ovechkin would light up Toronto. And although he didn't do it as much as I wanted to, he definitely did score some nice goals. Yeah, I thought Ovechkin, much like you, was a little better than the normal Ovechkin.
Yeah, and that's what I said has to happen if Washington wants to have success. As the captain, he has to work on his two-way play, and apparently, he did. Trotz has him zoned in, in kind of a different mindset. But he has to be consistent with it. He has to consistently back check, have help in his own end, that type of thing. Because you can't win a Stanley Cup unless it's a team effort. And majority of his career, I don't look at Ovechkin as a team guy.
Yeah, just to move on, Oshie, I thought he had an amazing series.
Yeah,
I thought he played really well.
I definitely did. Tom Wilson's the other guy I'm going to call out. Fourth line guy being able to score some big goals like that. That's huge for your team.
Mr. Game 7, Williams.
Yeah, Williams again.
An absolutely amazing series, I thought. I mean, that guy's older than the hills, and he's still...
his playoff numbers, though, they speak for themselves. He's amazing.
It's very strange, but yeah, some guys just play
like Danny Briere, another guy. Yeah, always lit up in the playoffs.
Absolutely, and I mean, there's lots of positive things out of Washington, but when you only barely get by the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team that's so young and stuff, you have to look back at yourself and worry a little bit and fix those problems. So
yeah, they will.
The question is, do they fix it moving forward? And if it's against a team like Ottawa or the Rangers, you have a little bit more leeway there. But you're playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. You better figure that shit out soon, because the Pittsburgh Penguins are the deepest team in the NHL, and it's going to be a fun series to watch. So
here we go again. It happened, just the other year. And then, of course, in 2009, when Pittsburgh went on to win the Cup, they beat out Washington that year too. It's crazy to think how many times Pittsburgh have beaten the Capitals out of the playoffs.
It's an expectation at this point. And I think even Crosby said that in an exit interview from the last series. He said, we figured we'd play each other at some point during the playoffs. They just expected at this point. So
based on their seeding in the conference, it was a given. They're the two deepest teams in the NHL, in my opinion. Pittsburgh and Washington, two deepest teams. It's inevitable that they were going to come into a collision course with one another, and because of the new way they have the format for the playoffs, it's going to happen in the second round, which I don't agree with. It should have been in the Eastern Conference Final, if anything, but that's a totally different topic.
Yeah. So just very quickly, how do you think Toronto does next year, and how do you think Washington does next year?
I think Toronto does better, and I think Washington does worse.
I agree. Yeah.
Washington, 100%, it's now or never. And if they don't do it this year, key guys are going to be leaving next year because of the salary cap. Shattenkirk will definitely not be with Washington next year, in my opinion. Based on everything I've been seeing, I don't think he's going to be staying there. And off the top of my head, I can't recall all the free agents Washington has coming up at the end of this year, but there are some key ones as well. And I see a lot of people moving on. And I also see Ovechkin becoming insanely frustrated, because this is a guy who's over 30 years old now. Yeah. His window of opportunity is closing. And if they fail again to build a cup contending team, or should I say a cup winner, because I look at them as a cup contending team, I could see him being frustrated and potentially moving on.
Very interesting. We'll leave it at that. Let us know down in the comments below how you feel about this series between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals. Were you surprised? Were you happy that Washington beat Toronto? Let us know how you feel below in the comments. If this is your first video on Post to Post, we hope you hit the subscribe button down below. We're making videos very frequently here. If you liked the video, hit the like button, and otherwise we'll see you in the next video. Adios.